everybody, what's going down? It's your girl, Terry Renee. You know I always got something to say. Oh my God, I miss y'all. How have you guys been? Now, coming back, we have a heavy hitter in the game. Like, this man has opened up for Big L, Biggie, Jay-Z. I'm talking about the list goes on and on. One of the top rappers of the 90s and early 2000s. Y'all give it up for Waleed, Bilal.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? How you?
I'm doing well, blessed, and I'm just amazed that I get to be in your presence to interview you.
That's what's up. It's good to be here.
Now, I want you to take me, we're in the 90s, in New York. Tell me how you got your start and how did you come up on opening up for Big L, Jay-Z, Biggie, and everybody?
Well, I never opened up for Big L. It was Biggie Smalls, it was Jay-Z, it was Keith Murray. You know what I'm saying? I opened up for the Fugees, and I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx. I have a long history of the industry because my first cousin is Keith Cowboy Wiggins from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. So I kind of grew up in the industry. And at some point in my life, I was around 10, 11. My family moved me to North Carolina. And while I was in North Carolina, I was a singing ass nigga. I wasn't rapping or none of that. I was in college and I was a singing nigga. And one of my boys came down from New York to visit me in college. And there was a competition and he started rapping and shit like that. And he won the competition. So I was like, shit, I'm about to try this rap shit. And when I tried it, you know what I'm saying, because I was lyrically inclined, turned out I was good at it. And I mean, I just kept writing raps and running them by my brothers and my sisters because I come from a big family and they was like, yo, son, you got something there. So, I mean, the first thing I ever did was for Biggie Smalls. He was coming to Fayetteville, North Carolina to do a show and they had an audition to see who was going to open up for him. And I mean, long story short, I won that shit. And then my name started ringing bells around the city. And I met this cat from Queens, New York, named Francois Brown, who was actually plugged in the industry pretty well. He knew Cory, Rooney, and a lot of people. Cory Rooney was the president of Sony Records at the time under Tommy Mottola. And we got teamed up. My mom bought us some gear and got us some gas money, and we drove to New York. And I went out there and rocked out in front of Cory Rooney, and boom, like I got a demo deal. So a demo deal was something different than a regular deal. It was basically they would allow me to record in the studio, use their producers, you know what I'm saying? I put together a project, and if they fucked with the project, they would put a budget behind it. So, I mean, boom. At the same time that I got my situation with Sony, Nas got signed over at Columbia. And needless to say, everybody probably know the story. And if you don't, Tommy Mottola found Mariah Carey, you know what I'm saying? Same time, signed her as an artist. And when he signed Mariah Carey as an artist, he put us all on the shelf. Situations on the shelf so he can invest the whole budget that they had in Sony into Mariah Carey. So basically,
He shelved y'all music?
He shelved Nas, he shelved me, he shelved everybody. Everybody that was signed underneath the Sony umbrella, especially in the hip hop lane, got shelved. And they put all of the budget behind Mariah project. So when I got shelved, because I was based out of North Carolina, I had a full scholarship to East Carolina University, and this is in 1992. So I just opted out of my little situation, and I went back to North Carolina and went to college. So, I mean, that was pretty much my shining moment as an artist. I went to college, was doing my thing, this, that, and the third, and then I started hustling, you know what I'm saying, and getting money. And I got caught up, and you know what I'm saying, I caught a charge, and North Carolina wasn't the place for me anymore. So boom, I basically packed my shit up, went to Atlanta, moved in with my sister, and I was banging it out in Atlanta for a little while. So it was like, it had to be like maybe a year and a half into Atlanta. I met this kid in my apartment complex. And when I tell you the apartment complex that I was staying in was nothing proper, because I had a record and I couldn't get into a nice place. Even though I had the money, I had to stay in some bullshit, somewhere that would accept me. So I'm driving my car, and there's this kid and his cousin standing outside their car with a beat playing, and they rapping. And I pulled up and I'm like, yo, this kid is raw. Well, hold up. Let me rewind. Before I met him, while I was in Atlanta in that year and a half, basically, God just wanted me to be in the industry one way or the other, because I moved to an apartment complex that my sister was in when I first got there. And guess who moves next door to us? Jazzy Faye.
But
one of the biggest producers in Atlanta at the time, still big, but he was like really on and popping. He my next door neighbor. And when I tell you on everything, Slim, Lil Wayne, anybody that was anybody, because he had a studio inside of his crib, right? Anybody who was anybody was coming through his spot. And I was like, I got to find a way to make him my friend. So I started chopping it up when I seen him. Huh?
He was your next door neighbor? Oh my.
My next door neighbor. He lived like right next door. And he didn't when I first got there, but all of a sudden I started seeing these exotic cars pull up. And I'm like, yo, who is this dude, this big dude with this beard? And I saw him on TV one day, and I was like, oh shit, that's my neighbor. And then, people was pulling up. He was producing for a lot of people inside the crib, because he didn't really live there. He rented the apartment and made it into a studio.
Oh.
So people was coming through there recording, some pretty big people. So I started forming relationships with different people, and then fast forward to the artist that I told you I heard was dope. I pull up on him and I'm like, yo, I know people, you know what I'm saying? And I explained who I am, and I spit a rap for him to let him know that I really was that guy back in the days with my bars and everything like that, right? And he believed me. So then he just trusted me, and he started coming over to the crib. He was spending the night. We was putting songs together, laying stuff down. Then one day I took him over to my man crib. His name is Gary Gizzo Smith. He was signed to Jermaine Dupri's So Def. He produced and co-wrote the record Promise for Jagged Edge. So I knew him because I knew his brother. Me and his brother was real tight, and he introduced me. He actually at the time had Kalina, who was a part of Dirty Money. He had her straight out of Boston. She was down there recording. Whitney Houston would come by the crib because they was from Boston, and they was from Boston too. And Bobby Brown and them like came up together.
Oh, wait, you're covering the camera.
I'm sorry. You see me now? So like, yeah. They was from Boston too. So like, they knew Bobby Brown. His brother Nate used to manage New Edition. I'm just getting excited because you got me remembering, like, it was an exciting time in my life, because like I was kind of green, but I had this ambition, and my mouthpiece is vicious, and I'm a likable guy, and I'm smart, and I knew business. So I was able to maneuver through these people I was meeting and build relationships. And finally, when I met that artist, those relationships kind of paid off. So I go to his crib. He's working with Kalina. I let him listen to the artist, and he was like, yo, he dope as fuck. But I don't want to jump into a situation with him like that, because I want to concentrate on Kalina. So he was like, I'll get back with you. So I was like, damn. So 3 weeks later, he had a kid that was signed to Disney Records in his studio, trying to put a song together for Disney. And he called me and he asked me, yo, you think your artist can write a record for this kid? And I was like, what you need? He was like, yo, come over. We hop in the car, we drive over to the studio. My artist records a record for the kid from Disney in like an hour. He demos the record and everything. And he hit us off with like $2,000 right then. So I gave him 1,500 and kept 500. And I was like, yo, son, we officially part of this business. We got our first check from the industry, right? So then after that, he hit us up maybe like 2 days later, and he was like, yo, I think I'm ready to work with that kid, JR. So he was like, bring him over here. We sat down. We signed a production deal to his production company, what was called Mood Swing Production. We put together a project for him in 6 months. And 6 months after we dropped the project, we had Shady Aftermath, Universal Motown, and Atlantic in a bidding war for him.
In a bidding war?
They was in a bidding war to see.
Yo, who was the artist?
His name is Keith Brown, JR Get Money. He actually was nominated for 3 Grammys, as you could see on my bio and on Clubhouse. He was nominated for 3 Grammys because he wrote that record for Lupe Fiasco. All right, already the show goes on. All right, till the morning we dream so long.
What? That was
man. Him. That's actually him on the hook. And that's a long story too. I mean, like we was in the studio putting together a project and everything like that. And Keith, not Keith, but Kane Beats. If you look at the credits, Kane is the producer of that track. And if you look at the back of the credits, you'll see my artist name, Keith Brown, on the back of that as well. But he came over there and he was like, yo, we got this record. I'm doing this record with Lupe and whatnot. He in there, he got these dope ass lyrics, but we need a hook on it. And my artist went in there doing in JR fashion and embodied that shit. But we got the deal. We took the deal with Universal Motown, which was $1 million record deal, which was phenomenal and which was life-changing, and it happened so fast. So we took $1 million deal with Universal Motown. At the time, Sylvia Rome was the president of Universal Motown. So she was trying to find a place where we can land our head. So at first she was trying to send us out to Texas with Chameleon. So we went out to Texas and met up with Chameleon. We met Jay Prince. We went to the premiere of that Mike Jones movie. Wow, that's how far back that was. When Mike Jones dropped that movie, we was at the premiere with Jay Prince, Chameleon. Chameleon wasn't really a good fit for us. So then we came back to Atlanta, and she was asking us that we want to go down to Florida and be a part of Cash Money, and we was like, hell nah, because back in that time they was going through some Cash Money back then. It's not the Cash Money they are now. You know what I'm saying? So we like, hell nah. So then she was like, yo, I don't know why I didn't think of this. I'll let y'all go over there with T.I. and Jason Jeter at Grand Hustle. And we was like, oh, hell yeah. Like make that happen. And the rest is kind of like history. We rocked out with Grand Hustle for like 10 years. But my artist never really found success as an artist. He had some really good numbers and stuff like that and whatnot, but he never popped off and made it to the top 1% as an artist. But he excelled in the industry as a writer and moving around like that. He's done a lot of stuff. Well,
I'm saying, artists who write, they definitely get a lot more credit, even though it's not in the forefront. But that paper long. Yeah.
The checks continue to come. That's for sure. Like it's never a dull moment when you write a record and you out there like that. And so T.I. got locked up. Money started slowing down. So I started a booking agency one day because this kid called me and he was like, yo, I got $5,000 for Dro. You know what I'm saying? You think you can get him for me for that? And I called Dro and I was like, yo, Dro, man, this dude said he got $3,000 for you to do a little quick show, capacity 500. And he said, run it. And I made $2,000 in less than 10 minutes, linking a person to a person. So it was at that moment that I started Ears to the Street booking agency. So I started a booking agency. I had all of these contacts with all of these artists, and I started booking artists, South Carolina, Columbus, Georgia, Alabama. I was moving around on the Southeast, and it was making me a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Then the promoters started getting a little janky. You know what I mean? And I just was starting to cause problems with my relationships with the artists that I was dealing with by not coming through with the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like, say you are a artist and me and you have an extremely good relationship and you're pretty big in the industry. Now you got two people calling you at the same time,
right,
trying to book the same date. And because you and I have a relationship, I'm gonna trump him when it comes to that show. So you're gonna give it to me. Now it's time to do the contract and pay the money, right? You know, I told the other promoter no, because you're doing the show with me. So he's going to find him another artist, right? He's like, okay, I can't get her right now. Let me go find me another artist. Now, when that promoter that I'm dealing with doesn't come through with the money, and you're not getting your money, and you miss that money, that other promoter, your relationship with me is going to get a little shady because you might be charging $20,000, and I don't beat you on $20,000 that you could have had locked in for that date from the other promoter. So I just got kind of like, with the industry. The industry just had me like, I'm tired of it. And I literally stepped away from the industry for 9 years. I moved to Dubai. I started doing contract work, getting paid hella money, tax-free over there. I was able to travel the country. I was able to pay the money to get my record expunged and stay out of trouble long enough to get my record expunged. So I came back to the United States in 2020, and I discovered Clubhouse, and I started discovering some artists on Clubhouse that was on and popping, and I never lost my connections. So I just been really building ever since. That's pretty much what's going on. We got a lot of movement. We got placements on a bunch of TV shows. We got 2 placements on 2 movies. My artist Bishop has dropped 3 singles, including also he dropped a Christmas song, and his numbers is just like on and popping. Radio stations are calling us, DJs are hitting us up. I recognize that, you know what I'm saying? I recognize the pattern. So I know we're moving in the right direction because these were the same things that was happening for me the first time I got an artist signed. You feel me? So yeah, I mean, I know I just started running with my life after you asked me about how did that happen. But
no, that's good. That's good. That's good.
I just had to give I'm passionate, and I want artists to know that really, like, the only way that you can lose in this business is to not try and not be consistent, because consistency will pay off. Let me rewind that. The very first thing that it's going to take is talent. And I mean, talent. And then you have to make a decision, and you have to be realistic with yourself of what type tier artist you want to be. If you have top tier talent, then you just need to have the hustle and consistency, because there's a lot of artists out here that are way better than the artists that we hear on the radio every day.
Facts.
But they are being outworked. They are being outworked in the situation. They are not working hard enough. They are not being consistent. And that's their downfall. Like honestly, the game has changed.
I feel as though, I don't know if it's a fact of they're being outworked, but they're being out. It's just that the artists that really don't have talent, but they are succeeding, I think they know how to utilize different platforms to their benefit. And when you have somebody who knows how to work smarter versus harder, you know, that always trumps.
So you just said it though. They outwork you or them people by understanding their weakness and finding a solution. And some people know what the solution is, but don't have the know-how or the desire or the push to figure it out so that they can figure out what's keeping them away from it. I mean, like, for instance, like, okay, like, I know that if I meet this person right here and they hear this shit, I'm gonna be on and popping. So it should really be every single day, if you're serious, should be destination, get in front of that person for them to hear my music, right? And those non-talented people went and found somebody that believed in them, that made that happen. And I'm just saying, that's what it's all about. Like, I mean, a lot of people, like, in the game has changed so much. So you guys have to work a little bit harder than we did. We can run up to Russell Simmons and say, oh, my name is LJ, I'm a better again. And he'd be like, say nothing else. You're not going anywhere. You're signed. Let's sign the contract right now. It's not like that anymore. You know what they're doing right now? You have to prove yourself. It wasn't no proving yourself back in the days. It was just raw talent. Oh, I like your talent. I'm going to take a chance on you. The labels have stopped taking chance on the artists. The artists have to prove themselves via analytics, via streams, via the social media followings and all of that. So, like, y'all got to put in a little bit more work. But, like, I have several artists signed to my company, and several of them are about to get dropped because I know they have the talent, but I can't get them to post. I can't get them to give their fans what they want, and that's to know them intimately. Your fans fall in love with you before they fall in love with your music. That's when they become diehard fans, and that's when they buy into anything that you're selling, because they get to know you as a person. Any one of your real fans should be able to tell 5 personal things about you. So what does that mean? That means that you at least got to share 5 personal things about you with your fans. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And when you see that type of connection that they feel with you, where they're following you, sharing your shit, and doing that, and the third, then you understand that that's proof of concept. That works. So then why not do it more? You know what I'm saying? And build organically, because like Russ, you don't have to be signed to a label to be a top tier artist. Russ is getting paid probably more than most of these artists that are signed to a major label, and he's doing it independently. Like because he came up with the idea that, why should I give you 20% to distribute my music when you are doing nothing but distributing my music?
And even Young Dog, he had the blueprint. Like, I would never forget when he had like some type of contract. He ripped that joker up in front of the camera. I think that made me a huge fan right there.
They trying to subliminally, indirectly explain to artists that the hoopla about the label is just what you should use, or what you should have to use to take you to the next level. When I say that, I mean international. But you can lock down the United States by yourself, and you can reap all the benefits of locking down the United States by yourself. But it really, like, I don't know, like, people, it kills me. The other day, this guy played a record, and it was one of the dopest records. I think I was like, yo, this record is so raw. I'm like, what you doing with that? When you dropping that? Oh, it's out on all streaming platforms. I was like, yo, fam, like, why don't we know that? Why don't we know that? Why you ain't in the group chat tagging it up with your Spotify, your Apple link? Why am I not hearing your song? I mean, artists have a tendency to just drop music. They don't understand that they should have a rollout, and that they should have a small budget, and that they should try to figure out and understand the algorithm, or save up their money if they can't figure it out, and pay somebody that has figured it out.
But then you also got some people. I think I talked to somebody before, and you do have some shady people that act like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna do this for you, I'm gonna do that for you. Then they get the bread, and then they out of there.
I mean, that's you gotta vet your people though. I'm saying you can't. There's no way that a person should get beat from somebody if they can. If you vet them first, you have to understand. Well, who have you done work with, or at least ask somebody who you trust to refer somebody to you. You know what I'm saying? Just don't go and meet a person because yeah, it's easy. It's really easy. Artists are so hungry and so thirsty, and there are people out here that will take advantage of you. I'm starting to walk because I'm trying to look at my battery life and see what I'm looking like because I'm at 14%. I don't want to cut off on you. I plug my phone up. So yeah, I mean, there are people that will definitely scam you when it comes to this industry out here because the business nowadays is servicing artists. Whether it be a consultation, whether they like a friend of mine called me the other day and he wrote a book. He wrote several books, and one of his books he's turning into a movie. And he had asked me that I have any connections in the movie industry, and I did. And I called one of my mentors who I know has done his work of getting films, major films funded. And I asked him, would he consider doing a consultation with my friend who was in PA? And he was like, sure. And he asked him how much he was going to charge. He hit him for $1,500. And he paid it immediately. But he hit me back after they met at Sony Music in New York. Walked around the whole building. He has an office up there. They had a meeting. He left us there, went and introduced him to two major movie people in New York. And oh boy, and them snapped some photos and Sony records. And he left and he hit me up and he was 1,000% grateful. He didn't get scammed because he called me and he knew that I was credible. He knew that I wouldn't let him get burnt for any money. So that's how artists got to approach the situation. Either vet your people or find somebody who's credible or find somebody who's, I don't know why all these fucking punks in my pocket. I'm sorry. I'm on your interview. I'm sorry. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I wish I was more grounded to do this interview like back home in Atlanta and whatnot, but I've been in Fort Lauderdale for 2 weeks and I'm blowed. I'm ready to get back to the crib.
I want you to talk about where you see music going. And let's give me like a quick 5 minutes of where do you see the music industry going?
I think that the music industry is going to be going more in a direction eventually of in a positive direction with all of the stuff that is happening right now. I think that you're starting to see artists that don't have to compromise and be super street and do all of the craziness to be successful. Kendrick Lamar's, you got your J. Cole's, and they're starting to be more conscious artists. And I believe that music never really caught on during COVID with the NFT and all of that. But I think that inevitably that's where it's going to be going. You know what I'm saying? I think that people gave up on it because it didn't catch on right then. But I mean, that's the future of the planet. You know what I'm saying? Crypto, NFTs, offering different variety of things through Web3 as well. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Web2 has gone to shit right now. You know what I'm saying? Like Spotify and Apple Music, those are the Web2 spaces. YouTube, those are Web2 spaces. But just look at it. You get paid like 100 of four. You have to have 1 million streams to make $4,000. And in the Web 2 space. But can you imagine if, like, even you right now, as an artist, you could have like 1,000 fans, and your goal should be to find a way to make those 1,000 fans add you into their bills, like make you a bill. You have to find a way, like you might sell some merchandise and attach 2 exclusive records to it, and you might charge them $10-15 for that, with that being a $5 markup. And if you got 1,000 fans, then you done made $5,000. That makes you a paid artist who makes $5,000 a month from your 1,000 fans. And now you can officially say that you are being paid to do what you love, right? And the only thing that you have to do is continue to scale up and build your fan base, and also make those new fans turn you into one of their bills that they pay out every month because they love you so much they want to support you. But a lot of artists are sitting around looking at streams because they're so hungry to get a deal when they don't really have to wait on that. And at that moment when you guys discover this and you start seeing the money that you'll be making off of it, then a label won't become so important anymore. And then that money that they come offering you to exploit you with won't make a difference anymore. And I think that a lot of artists, especially the ones that are under my tutelage and that I talk to, are beginning to understand that. Like the of course streams are good. They're great. They don't pay any money, but they're great. They definitely will have the labels looking at you, but that don't mean that you need to jump into a situation with a label. You just have to learn how to monetize your situation from your fan base. People be waiting on 20, they don't feel like they're successful because they don't have 1 million fans. But there are people out here in the Web3 space that have 1,000 fans that are making constant money, and a lot of it on a daily basis. And I mean, we have to share that with the youth. We have to educate y'all on monetizing y'all situation and not waiting on a situation. You feel me? But yeah, I honestly think the future is the NFT space is going to be big in the future, and I definitely think it's going to be more conscious rap because a lot of people are tired of I kill you, I shoot you, I'll do this, I'll fuck you. And I mean, we've heard it. It's just the only thing that's different is the cadence that they're saying in it, basically.
I want you, before we leave, I want you to give out, how can artists reach you? Where can they find you? And all your social media, if you are active like that on social media. And if they want more information, how can they contact you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is WBILAL. That you can just find me up. You can tap in with me on Instagram. I don't really be on Facebook. That's my family space to politic with people in the industry. But definitely tap in with me on Instagram and Clubhouse. Everybody should be on Clubhouse. You can find me on Clubhouse. I got 10.3 thousand followers and everybody know me very well on there. I got a big presence on Clubhouse. But if you got some hot music, WJBILAL@gmail.com. You know what I'm saying? Send me some shit. I love listening to dope music. And if I think it's dope enough, tack a number in there. I definitely hit you up because I got situations. You know what I'm saying? And I'm moving out here. I can definitely change your life one way or the other, whether that be a placement, might decide to bring you over there to 1924 Music Group, and you can be a part of history because we about to pull a QC in Baltimore. And y'all remember I told y'all that we about to pull a quality control situation in Baltimore. We got Def Jam, we got Universal, we got Republic. They all like bang, 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 bang. And we trying to figure out what the situation is. But we got movement, you know what I'm saying? And if you dope, tap in and I'll get back at you.
I just want to thank you so much, Mr. Bilal, for even coming to talk with us on the Talk With Me podcast. And you already know I'm gonna hit you up right after this. So
hit me up. Hit me up. I want to hear from you, and thank you for having me. Word.
Everybody,
one day I want you to interview my artist, though. I want you to do an interview with my artist, and that'll be dope. All right.
I got you. You already know. Word bond. So, like, everybody, be sure to like, share, and of course, subscribe to the Talk With Me podcast, because you already know all we do is drop gems with the hottest people in the industry, whether it be film, whether it be music, whether it be energy, all that. We're bringing it to y'all. Okay, so hit that like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to y'all next week. Only on the Talk With Me podcast with your girl, Jay Renee.